Hi everyone, I'm Vivian. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a junior studying P&P, and I'm primarily going to be working on writing and monologues.
Hi, my name's Songmi. I am a sophomore majoring in philosophy and psychology. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I will also be primarily focusing on the monologue and writing aspect of Skit this year with Vivian.
Hi, I'm Laura. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a senior studying environmental biology with a minor in educational studies. And I will be focusing primarily on acting and directing for Skit.
Yeah, so we're your three Skit quarters this year. It's gonna look a little different this year. If you have seen Skit in the past, it usually kind of follows a very standard format for plays. There's, a cast of characters, follows a singular plot line. But obviously, because of COVID and everything, LNYF is going to look a little different, and that includes Skit. So this year, we were thinking about doing a series of synchronous interwoven monologues, which basically LNYF is going to be a YouTube playlist this year with a bunch of videos from all the different dances and acts, and interspersed between all of these dances and acts are going to be the stories of Skit. If you are not a freshman and actually I don't even know what the freshmen did this year, but there's this thing called Bare Beginnings where they did a program called Our Names, Our Stories, where people submitted real stories from their lives, and it got translated into a monologue format and then performed on stage. And so that is kind of the feel that we're going for this year. So what is a monologue? If you have ever gone to see a play or even in movies, a monologue is basically it's just like a long speech that tells a story. Usually it's a character talking to another character, or in this case, it's going to be like you having a conversation with the audience. It's all about you and what you're saying. And it's very emotional. You really want to get the audience to really sympathize with you and really see the story that you're trying to bring to the table. They tend to be pretty personal. They kind of act as a way for us to see a little bit deeper into somebody. In plays and movies, that would be into a character. So kind of think of it kind of like a personal essay, but definitely like less conventional. There's no thesis, there's no conclusion, and definitely, like we said, more emotional. You'll have access to this PowerPoint, but at the bottom here, I've included a link to a well-known monologue from a play called Proof. Vivian, if you want to take us over there. So as you can see, well, it's loading, but this is a monologue from the play Proof by the character Catherine. And can you scroll down? Perfect. As you can see, Catherine here is telling us a story. She's talking about her father, who in the show is ill. She's saying, I lived with him, I spent my life with him. And she's actually talking to a character in this scene. But even so, it's giving us, the audience, a chance to really see into Catherine's mindset and to hear Catherine's story. She tells us her mother died and she had to take care of him and all this kind of stuff. And it's very emotional. So it's a little short, but I think this is a pretty good standard example of if you're confused about what a monologue looks like.
All right. So let's touch a bit on the theme of LNYF this year, which is unwavering. So what does unwavering mean? Well, it can mean different things to different people. And so rather than put a set definition on it, we just wanted to give you some things that you might think about, because broadly what we're trying to do is get and perform monologues that really speak to the unwavering spirit of Asians and Asian Pacific Islanders in America. And so this could be a couple different things, and we've given some suggestions here. So you might want to write about a time that you've personally struggled, or maybe a fictional story, a fictional piece that's inspired by stories that you've heard. You could also write about a time that you've defended your identity or your heritage, and you did it with resilience and grit. These are just examples, jumping off points that you might consider, because ultimately what we're really trying to get at is, this is me, this is what I care about and this is my story. Because what LNYF is at its core is really, it's about people. And so we want you to ask yourself, what does unwavering mean to you?
So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're looking for in the monologues. So in terms of more traditional storytelling elements, we are looking for a scene, summary, dialogue if applicable. So like if you're talking about, if you're referencing a conversation you may have had with someone, we'd like to see not only a clear beginning, middle, and end, but this sort of character arc to show how you and the situation have changed and developed over time. We really, perhaps the most important thing we want to see is the authenticity. We want to know what makes you you, what was this event or story or situation or person you want to tell us about that has shaped you in a profound way that made you want to share it with us. And yeah, the time limit is 5 minutes. That should be pretty good per monologue.
Great. So just to touch on some other logistical stuff, if you want, you can act, you can write a monologue, or you can do both. We have 2 audition processes for that. So for writers, what you're going to do is submit an original monologue, which is following all the guidelines that we've talked about earlier. So that's if you want to audition to be a writer. If you want to audition to be an actor, the one who's going to perform the monologue, you'll submit a recording of yourself performing one of the monologues that we're going to provide to you, and we'll have those provided to you soon. And in the case where you might want to both write and perform, write and act, you can submit your original monologue and also submit a recording of you performing the provided monologue. So note, this is not you performing the monologue that you submitted. They're two separate routes of auditions. But yeah, so if you have any preferences or concerns, if you, especially since writing and acting is such a very personal thing to do, then you can absolutely let us know when you fill out the audition preference form. And on that note, there are 2 very important forms for you to fill out as part of your audition. That's going to be the performance preference form and the liability waiver. So make sure you do that when you submit your audition.
Okay, now for the audition timeline. So on Thursday, October 15th, auditions will open and they'll close exactly a week later. On Friday the 16th from 7 to 8 and on Tuesday the 20th from 3 to 4, my lovely team and I will be hosting office hours. So these office hours are a chance to kind of talk about your ideas, for you to ask us questions, or just to chat. I mean, we'd love to get to know y'all. In terms of the deadline, unfortunately, it is a pretty hard deadline, and there's not so much room for submitting things late, as we're supposed to have a meeting to pick pieces and actors on Friday, the 23rd.
Yeah, we really look forward to seeing all your submissions, and we hope that even though we're in this kind of strange, living in a very strange world right now, you'll still, feel inclined to take this opportunity, and we look forward to looking at all your submissions.